Hey everybody, this is Oscar from the Side Hustle Playbook, and in this video we're going to talk a little bit about eBay returns and how to make sure you're not getting scammed. So go ahead and stay tuned, and we'll see you after the intro. Hey everybody, so let's go ahead and start and answer a question that we got and something that just happened recently to myself. If you're in eBay and you're selling quite a bit of items, it's inevitable you're going to get somebody that wants to either return the item's broken, things like that. I mean, it's a business. Just like even a brick and mortar business, you're going to run into issues with customers. And if you want to have success in eBay or any type of business, especially with customers, you're going to have to give good customer service. Now, there are situations where you want to protect yourself as much as possible. You want to avoid being scammed because there's a lot of scammers out there, and there's different ways that they do it. So eBay can make it easier at times for them because they do offer a 30-day money back guarantee type of deal. You can opt into that as a seller. You don't have to, but if you don't, I have found, and they stated, you're not going to get the priority on your listings. They basically try not to promote your business very well. There's certain, if you want to be what's called like a top-rated seller, you have to offer this, this type of money back guarantee type of thing or 30-day return policy to your buyers. No matter what, it just has to be done. And I have found that even if you don't offer it, if a customer complains enough to eBay, they'll force you to take the return. eBay, doesn't make any, doesn't hide it. At the end of the day, they are customer focused. They're always going to lean on the side of the buyer. They understand that the sellers are just as important because we're the ones that are paying all their fees, and that's, we're the ones that they're making money off of. But at the end of the day, they want to make it as, easy for a customer to come in and buy a product. So, couple things, when it comes to returns or it comes to issues, if you're, again, we've talked about it in the past, if you're shipping something that's high value, you definitely want to insure it. But some things that I do when it comes to maybe electronics, anything that might have a serial number. Before I ship it, I always take pictures of it, and I'll usually include that in the listing. I want both sides to know what the serial number is of the item that they purchased. So when they receive it, they can see that the serial number matches what's on the listing, so they can't say, "Oh, I sold something that I listed something, but it wasn't the actual item." That'll try to avoid those type of issues. But when you're dealing with scammers, the last thing you want them to do is say you sell a laptop to them, or you sell an iPhone, something like that, where they might get the item, say it was broken, screen's broken, something like that. Maybe they just needed a component off of your new one, or they're going to send you a broken version that they already had and send that back to you and call it a return. That's where it's very important for your notes and making sure that you have the serial number, because you can then inspect it on return. I have had that issue before where a buyer sent back a item that was the exact same brand, make, everything was exactly the same except for the serial number. So I was able to spot that it was fake, or at least not the item that I had sent them or sold them. And it took, again, going on eBay and dealing with customer support did take a little bit of time. But eventually, after they did their investigation, they found that, yes, I did have the records of the serial number that I sent them, and they were able to give me a refund not hold the money that they were holding and giving back to the customer. Now, don't know what happened with the customer, if they got, if they were able to keep their money or not. But at the end of the day, I was just worried about, hey, it's just not right. So definitely, any type of markings or anything that will basically differentiate, or be able to specify what you're sending them, you want to make sure you take a picture of that and also list that in your item, or list it in your listing, But again, not everybody, and that's the thing. You're not going to usually the majority of the folks that you're going to deal with are going to be good. Customers are going to be authentic people, but it's just those few that can kind of ruin it for everybody else. And you want to just kind of make sure that you're protecting yourself. And then you're also protecting the customer in the sense that you're making sure that they are 100% aware of what they're going to get. But when you handle the return, I always make sure to handle it through eBay. I want it to be documented because in eBay, if, the buyer puts a complaint or creates a case and they need it resolved, you as the seller can now respond to that. And if they'll say, hey, I just need to return it, I didn't like it, blah, 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 you can then accept the return. But then they have to ship it back to you. In some cases, you may or may not have to pay for shipping, depending on the issue, right? If it was that just doesn't fit, you may not have to pay for the shipping because they kind of bought it with the specs. But if it was broken, things like that, they're saying it's not exactly as described, you may need a return. You may need to do a return shipping label to them. So it does get a little bit tricky, and that's why it's always important when you're pricing your items to make sure you have enough of a buffer, throughout your store to be able to, take these hits, because sometimes you're going to take a hit, and sometimes it's not necessarily your fault. Sometimes it could be the shipping provider, and again, that's where you open up a case with your UPS, damaged on delivery, things like that. But once you go through eBay and and they create the case, they ship it to you, you'll see that it's on its way. And then from there, you can receive it and inspect it. And that's where you tell eBay yay or nay, right? And if you say no, then you're going to have to make a case of why not. And again, documentation, having everything, documented and providing that to eBay is going to give you your best chance of winning your case. Now, what is it best to do? To me, if it's low cost items, if it's something that's not, that big of a deal. And, again, I use my own judgment when it comes to a customer. I put myself in their shoes. And just like yourself, like if you bought something from, Walmart.com or Target.com and it comes to you and it truly arrives broken, what are you going to do, right? You're going to reach out to Target or Walmart and, get your money back. And that's the way it should be. So you want to make sure that, you want to make sure you understand that that's the ultimate experience for a customer. They want to trust that when they're ordering something, if it's not done right or something's wrong, that they can go to you and you're going to resolve it. And that's what eBay expects, right? But you're going to have those few folks that are trying to scam. They are trying to, swap a good item with a bad item. The other one that I get, questions on and, I see from time to time is the partial refund. What do I do with a partial refund? So sometimes you'll deliver something and they'll come back to you. You'll get a message from the buyer and, it could be something like, hey, I got it. I love it, but it has this mark or it has a scratch here or it has this little thing that I just don't like. I don't want to return it, but can you give me, I paid $50 for it. I don't think that's right. Maybe if can you give me a $25 refund and we'll call it a day. Again, for each business, for each person, it's your own, it's your own decision on how you want to handle those. Early on in our business, I'd be like, oh my God, I don't want to lose the sale. I already, put the money in my bank and, already spent it or whatever. Right. So I'd be like, oh yeah, I'll just give you the $25 and call it a day. Hopefully, and that's it. They don't create a case. I don't want to get, I don't want to have to deal with it. It's a lot to deal with sometimes, especially if you're trying to sell other items and you're now having to babysit some cases and stuff. So that's how I initially handled it. Over the years, again, are they scamming? Are they not? We just kind of made the decision on our business and our eBay business that at the end of the day, we're just going to work everything through eBay. So, if they say, hey, this isn't, can you give me a partial refund? Our response is usually going to be no. Unless it's something like really, like we just don't want it back anymore. It's always going to depend on the case, but in most cases, I should say then, we usually will not give a partial refund. We kind of stick to, hey, if you don't want it, then that's fine. Just return it back to us. And then that's where we go through a case. We open up a case, but that way they can say why they're returning it. And then if there truly is a hole, we have pictures, or if there's a scratch, we have pictures of what we sent. And if they received it with a certain defect, either, we make sure it wasn't one that they're sending back, or B, we work through UPS if it was damaged, and it's a lot more work. Can be a drag at times because UPS isn't going to be the easiest people to work with, especially with damage, right? But I have just found that, two things, either they return it and we get it back and we look at it and usually the issue's not there, or we will basically get it or they'll basically just decide, you know what, no, we're good, don't worry about it, or I don't hear from them again. We always give the option, like, again, we're going to say, hey, we're offering you the full refund, and if you return it, in most cases, we'll pay back the shipping, and a lot of times they'll just say, no, I just want to, or they just don't respond after that. So, and the reason was, it's like we were getting a lot of folks asking for partial refunds after. It's like almost like, I'm not sure if there's a group of folks or buyers out there, but it was almost like once, we started doing it, here and there, we started getting a lot more requests for that, right? So to avoid this though, to avoid the legitimate ones, because I'm sure there's legitimate ones, right? There's going to, always be, legitimate folks trying to, they just got something. Oh man, it's just a little scratched, can I get it's not worth what I thought it was now. But what we try to do is make sure, we always take photos of all, defects, anything that looks like it might be an issue. We take photos and put that in the listing. I want folks to know exactly what they're going to get. I don't want any surprises, right? So when they get it, there was a little smudge on the shirt. Okay, then no big deal. They already knew that was coming. But that way also, if they try to complain about it later, we can just say, hey, it was in the photos. And if goes into a case with eBay, again, we can show that it was in the listing. We weren't trying to hide it. They willingly bought it knowing what was there. And so we'll take the photos and we'll mention it in the listings. I'll say, hey, if you look, there's a scratch on picture number 3 that you can see it, or if it's a monitor, or even a baseball glove, it has, like, it's missing a lace, things like that. So we always take photos of that and we always mention it in the listing. And again, it's not perfect, we still get them, but we're trying to avoid those partial refunds just because it's so hard to determine if it's a legitimate one or not. And again, we work through the case. Once we receive it, we inspect it. If it was a lace that wasn't missing before, or if it was something that wasn't there before, then we kind of try to work through eBay, and then, we either work with a shipper to report it as damaged, or, in some cases we've had one where they damaged it themselves and then try to return it, over a month later, so, in those, and having our paperwork, even though we offer the 30-day policy, we didn't have to return the money for that. So, from time to time, eBay will, as long as you're trying to do right, I think that's always the message, right? As long as you're trying to run your business legitimately and, always trying to do the right thing, I think, in most cases, you're going to be okay. But if you're not listing good pictures, if you're not describing the item exactly as is, if you're trying to be sneaky, you're probably going to lose a lot of those. So definitely, be honest in your business, be honest in your listings. And again, if the partial refunds are getting a little bit out of control, or people are requesting them, you might want to try what we did and just not, we don't offer them, and we go from there. So hope this video was a little helpful. It's kind of all over the place when it comes to the shipping and returns. But again, it's all about making as much money as possible for your business and growing it. And, the good customer service, good reviews is going to help you grow it in eBay. So that's it for now. Check out our website at www.sidehustleplaybook.biz. And if you like this content, like and subscribe below. Thank you very much, guys. Talk to you guys later.